Alrighty, y'all. Hello and welcome back. It is Friday, my favorite day of the week. It's the weekend is here. It's my birthday weekend, so that's pretty cool. Hopefully your weekend is going to be awesome as well. We're just having fun today, like we always do on Fridays. We're looking at some pretty crazy reverse culture shocks Americans are having in 2025. All right, so they're going abroad. And they're coming back home and things are just a little odd, right? I can imagine some of these are kind of hard pills to swallow, right? So let's just check it out. Sorry. Hey, do you want to go grab some lunch? Yeah, let me just change out of my gym clothes. Oh, yeah. Because athleisure wear is, well, that's just the norm here. You don't got to change out of that. As a matter of fact, you can just wear it 24/7 here in the U.S., no matter where you're going. Yeah, kind of odd, if you think about it. Cool, but odd. Yeah, portion size is going to hit you hard when you get back. Oh, yeah, the no privacy. Just avoid public bathrooms in the U.S. A little word of advice. Just don't bother. Now, that one's funny. I didn't get this until recently. I learned this in another video. When you give your card away, or actually, I should say, that's not a thing. Like when you're paying for dinner at a nice restaurant or something, they don't take your card away, right? In other countries. In the U.S., you give them your card and they walk away to somewhere out of sight, mostly. Sometimes it's close, but usually it's somewhere, I don't even know where. And they come back, 2 or 3 minutes later with your card and some receipts to sign and put your tip and all that stuff. So, yeah, it's different. A little weird, honestly, handing your card over to someone, especially when they're kind of far away, not in eyesight. Very trusting and kind of sketchy the more you think about it. I've heard in other countries, they just bring the card reader to you, and I think that's a lot smarter. Some restaurants do that here, but not many. Of course, the supermarket's just a wonderland of craziness in the U.S. But you know what? I would miss ranch, so I would grab some ranch. That's kind of become a cliche. I don't care. Ranch is awesome. I will defend it. And of course, the comments reinforcing what we're all thinking here. I work retail in Canada. Now, even Canada, even though it's right, our neighbor to the north there, they even have some different practices that you wouldn't even find in the U.S. So they aren't allowed to take anyone's card. But it's crazy that the card just gets taken away in the U.S. Yeah, I agree. Seriously, why are the cracks in the bathroom doors so big you can make eye contact through them? The sad part is that's not an exaggeration. It is hella awkward and severe lack of privacy. That's why I avoid them. Not to mention the cleanliness factor. And reinforcing in Italy and most other places other than the U.S., the card reader is brought to you so you don't, so that your card rather never leaves your sight. That should be how it is everywhere. Honestly, right? Safety, security, that should just be the way it is. I won't tell you I'm back in America. Hold on, what did I say? There will be signs. They're on the escalator. Any ideas? If you know, you know. Oh, you know what? I remember seeing this. I remember seeing escalators in a different country, I think in a European country, and everyone was perfectly aligned on one side. So this is the reverse. I gotcha. So they're back in America and everyone's just standing still and taking up the whole, like there's a traffic jam on the escalator. I think that's what they're talking about. And yeah, you can't, if you want to go through, you can't, right? No one's lined up. Whereas it's kind of a clean, people know where to stand on the right or whatever in European countries.
Study abroad programs. I currently live abroad, and today I'm here to talk to you about reverse culture shock. I feel like people talk a lot about things to expect when you go to a foreign country, but returning back to your country of origin almost feels like going to another foreign country after being abroad for so long. So the first thing I deal with when I go back to the United States in particular is readjusting to the food. I don't know if this is TMI, but I get the absolute worst traveler's constipation, especially when I go to the US. I don't know what it is, but my body
Damn.
absolutely rejects the food. And it's like my old favorite comfort foods. I
Oh,
can no
man.
longer enjoy the same way, which is absolutely horrible. Next,
You know, that part is so interesting for a couple reasons. A, I think it's so fascinating that your body can like adapt and change in a relatively short amount of time, right? Your body can really change and get used to a different, way of living depending on what the criteria is, right? Especially with food. And it's also interesting because it's crazy how the food is that much different. Kind of frightening, honestly, right? That, we've said this a million times before, but I can't drive home this enough. The food standards are just so vastly different. And I know there's even people that try to, and that's fine, right? They try to like defend the U.S. stuff. They say the FDA's, strict and all this stuff. Now, I don't tend to fully agree with that, but regardless, people can point out whatever they want. The facts are that people tend to have trouble with food here. Simple foods, breads, simple recipes. Like, it just doesn't matter. There's a lot of problems with food here. And when people go to different countries, even in like South American countries, pretty much anywhere in Asia, anywhere in Europe, like it doesn't matter. They have better luck, it seems like, with food, and their body gets used to it. And they come home to the US and then their body is literally rejecting it. That's got to be the weirdest feeling and very concerning. Just my
you can
thoughts.
never walk anywhere anymore. And it's awful, honestly. I get super restless and I love driving. I really miss being able to have like the aux in my car. But like the hot girl walks don't hit the same. Okay, the next
Yeah.
one is you'll hear
I can
American
see that.
accents. That's obvious. You're in the US, you're going to
Oh,
hear
yeah.
Americans. But I feel like you recognize the accent and you recognize your own accent a lot more after being surrounded by an accent that's not your own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so that one doesn't hit hard for me totally. I mean, I've heard different accents within the US because, of course, that's a thing as well. I can see, though, spending time somewhere else, it would be very fascinating for me to actually see the American accents in a different light, if that makes sense. Because, again, and this goes for everyone. You just talk how you talk, right? I talk how I talk. I don't think I have a thick accent or anything. But, of course, if I was somewhere else in the world, I would be the odd man out, right? I would talk different than most people around me. So I just think that is fascinating. I've never, of course, been puzzled by an American accent, really. But of course, if I spent a year abroad coming back, that would definitely be the case.
Really restless and I can't really relax because it's too quiet. I'm not on the go. I'm not going to a new country every weekend. I feel like this one's a little bit different now that I live full time abroad, but definitely when I was coming home from like hardcore study abroad programs like semester at sea, that was so difficult coming back to the US because that is the most fast-paced environment I think I've ever been in my life. The last two are pretty positive, I would say. The convenience of everything in general and knowing where to find niche items like 24-hour Walmart. Come on now. Target.
Yeah.
Come on now. They have everything there and they never close. Like everything, I mean, in the UK, everything closes by like 7, 8 o'clock.
Wow.
And there are still things that I'm like, where do I get a can opener? That was such a struggle a couple months ago. It's a rant for another day. Anyway, those.
That is actually interesting. Shopping is almost, it sounds funny to say, but like to a degree, we use our imagination here. Shopping is a little bit of a skill or like an art form. Just because shopping is different in any region, any country, right? Even different states within countries. Learning how to shop efficiently and where to get certain things can be a task. Also, I will say the U.S., I guess, is pretty good for that, right? You got to give credit where it's due. There is a lot of 24-hour stores and stores that just sell basically everything, right? Walmart definitely falls under that. Target almost falls under that. I don't think they have as much things at Target, but they have a lot. Now, the hours, though, Target closes early. They usually close at 9 or 10 p.m. They're not ever open 24 hours in my experience. But yeah, there's like a giant, 24-hour grocery store near me that is just so useful to have. Depending, I don't really use it so much anymore, I suppose. But, previous phases of my life where I used to have to work at night and stuff, it was nice to be able to go to a store at 3 or 4 in the morning, you know, and it was pretty much empty. So I think that is cool, and I would miss that in most countries because I'm sure that's not super common abroad. I could be wrong though. I feel like 24-hour stores have to exist at least a tiny bit in almost most countries, right? Or is that just totally not a thing, except in the US? I'm not sure. Back in the USA, the AC is freezing, the water's iced and free. Oh, geez. My phone has unlimited data again. Life is complete. Wow. All right. Well, they're happy to be home in the US. Good for them. I'm pretty sure, you know, they do have AC in different countries. The approach might be different, but again, that's a little bit of an overstatement. But yes, we do have AC everywhere here, so I'll give them that. The water's iced and free. Wow. Okay. That's, you can get water, you can get ice water, you can get free water pretty much anywhere. So they kind of missed the mark there, I would say. The phone has unlimited data again. That I can't totally speak of, but I'm pretty sure I've learned that phone prices, phone data is honestly more accessible and more affordable in most countries from what we've discovered on this channel. And I'm pretty sure you can get unlimited data in most countries, right? Like to say you can't get unlimited data in Germany or France is kind of wild, right?
Here's some culture shocks that I faced being back in America. Number 1, Cybertrucks. Saw a Cybertruck in person for literally the first time ever. That is a glitch in the Matrix. They don't look real. Number 2 is proportion.
You know what? She's right. Cybertrucks are weird, man. I don't like them. Look, it's okay. Everyone likes and dislikes different things. I can't stand them. At the same time, it is kind of, I guess, almost fun seeing them just because it's like, how is this real? Right? I don't know how it's real. I don't actually know how it's even street legal here. It doesn't look like it should be, honestly. I would never want one. It's just not my thing. I love trucks, but I don't love that truck. It's, oof, man, it's a hot mess. But it is wild seeing it in person. It literally feels like a glitch. Feels like you're in a video game for a second. It's pretty weird. And from what I understand, they actually don't sell those in most countries. I don't know how they sell it here, but
size it. So I've lived in France for the past 2 years, and I've gotten really used to their one piece of cheese and side of yogurt dessert. But now being back in the States again, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you just swarmed with food.
Overloaded. Like, my carne asada nacho plate could have fed a family of 4. It's gone to the point where if I do eat my whole meal, my stomach hurts.
Honestly, I love having a big portion, like options here, but a lot of times you might not even order a big portion and you still get too much food. And in that sense, it's actually kind of a negative, right? Like, I don't want to be stuffed, right? No one wants to feel drained and sluggish all day. And sometimes it's hard to store food or you don't want it later, you know? So I don't know. It's like both kind of a positive, but kind of a negative, right? Sometimes the portion sizes just need to be a little smaller here, or there needs to be an option for it.
Number 3 is the willingness to help. And this could just be a stark difference because I'm coming from Paris. But like every store that I've went into and I've asked like one question, hey, do you know where I can find this? Everyone is like so willing to help me. And they'll go like above and beyond to find whatever I'm looking for. As opposed to Paris, they'd be like, c'est pas possible. Yeah. They wouldn't even say sorry. They would just be like, no. But here in the States, it's like they are bending over backwards for customers.
That's usually true. Down-to-earth, regular people in most of the U.S. are super helpful, super nice, and that's what I do love about this country. I really love it. I think comparing it to Paris is almost extreme, right? Because isn't Paris known as like a very busy, high population, bustling city where people are, kind of in a hurry and not very friendly? I feel like it's the same thing, though, as saying, like, most Americans are nice, but if you go to New York City or, L.A. or Chicago, they might not be so nice. So I think that's kind of the same effect, in a sense. That's just a big city thing.
Customer service. And I do appreciate that. I do. Number 4 is how much people talk over each other. Honestly, I don't know if this is really specific to America, but I've noticed so much more that, like, oh my God, I'll be like in the middle of a sentence and someone just like overlaps me. And I'm like,
good
I don't know.
point.
In France, people gave me the time to speak and would never cut me off. But here it happens so often. that people are just like, blah, blah, blah.
That, I'm glad she said that. This has never came up in a video before. This is accurate. This is mostly accurate. Yeah, every once in a while, you'll find someone that is very proper and patient and gives you the full room to talk and complete your thought. But it's not common here. People love to talk, but they actually, everyone's talking over each other. I'm guilty of this. I cut off people in the videos. So I try not to, but it does happen. This is accurate. And I do feel like, I can't totally speak on this. It's not like I travel everywhere all the time, but from what I've observed, people are usually, it depends on the country, I'm sure, but there are cultures where people are more proper and, you speak, then they speak, then you speak, like there's a more cordial courtesy with the speaking. And unfortunately, people here do, like they blurt out their thoughts. It doesn't matter if you're mid-stride, right? Like they got to get that thought out now, and now everyone's talking over each other. Or you might literally be talking about a topic that you're kind of in the middle of. Someone interrupts, and then that conversation just gets lost in the wind. You never got to finish it. And it's very unsatisfying and awkward after that. Yeah.
Mind you, I live in East County, California, and there's definitely a demographic here that this pertains to, like where it's just rude. That's like the best way to put it. People are just kind of rude and don't really have like that many manners here, I'd say. Lastly,
it's
is
regional,
the talk about money.
For sure,
Everyone
to a degree.
Talks about money so freely here.
Yeah,
and it seems
very
like
awkward.
Everyone is kind of in a hole with it. Mm-hmm. And I know it's mainly because of like the way that our culture is. This entire country is a business. But I kind of forgot how prominent it is in people's lives here. And honestly, like some people see it as like a game. Like I don't really see money talk as a bad thing at all. I know that some people literally see like stocks and finances as like a hobby. But I feel like people rarely talked about money when I was in France. Like I think I would talk about it and then people would get like weird.
See, I think that's refreshing. I think finances are one of those things where if you want to have a group of friends where you talk about that, then okay, that's fine, right? Like anything else. But I think it's one of those things that shouldn't be just like, it's not a norm. And it is mostly, it should be kind of a private thing. She's right. This does come up a lot kind of freely in the US, and it's just very bizarre. You could be talking about the most innocent things, and then someone will say like, oh, well, this weekend, I'm or my husband or whatever, they're working overtime. They're going to be making double time, or I'm going to apply for this job. They're paying, so-and-so dollars per hour. Like no one asked, right? Like why are we talking about that, right? It is pretty bizarre. I tend not to talk about it. I think me and my wife are pretty good about that. But unfortunately, you can't stop other people from rambling on about what they spent for this or that, or, what job, what they're getting paid lately. It's very odd. Even me as an American, I think it's odd. So I could definitely see people talking like that abroad. People will be looking at them like, why are we talking about this? Like, we didn't ask.
Hi, I want to talk to you about some of the reverse culture shocks that I have as an American visiting my family in the US, having lived outside of the US for 7 years now. Because, why not? Because I'm home for Thanksgiving for the first time since 2015, and I was like, let's just go all in on this American stuff. And there's so many things that, like, I know about, but they still surprise me. Like, I know they're gonna happen, I know, but I still experience it, and I'm like, oh, so let's do that. The first one oh my god, noticed right away, because when I got home from the airport, I made myself a cup of tea, and, the rumors are true about what they say on TikTok, that fucking kettles take 1,000,000 years to boil in the US. I really thought that was a rumor. I was like, no, I used to have tea growing up and our kettles were fine. No, it takes so long. I literally thought
I've heard that
maybe
from people.
It wasn't even plugged in for the first few minutes because it didn't even start making the boiling noise for ages. Number 2, this is maybe a bit TMI, but how much...
I think isn't that have to do with electricity, right? Our outputs, we're 110 volts. And I think that's just a lot less, like half of what it is in most countries. I think that's part of it. So yeah, our appliances just run slower. Like especially when you talk about, a kettle when you're talking about warming stuff up.
Water
That
is
would
in
be a tough one to deal with.
Toilets? It's insane.
Oh yeah,
It's just weird to look at. The third
They're
thing
full
that like
of water.
I know is gonna happen when I'm in the US,
Rather
but
bizarre.
I still can't believe, is seeing how big some of the fruit is. Like apples and lemons specifically are like literally double the size of the apples and the lemons I get in the UK.
They're like
I'd say
oblong
lemons I
and like
get,
crazy looking, like they were
in the UK.
grew in like a nuclear radiation.
They're about the same size as limes are in the US.
Wow,
And
that's
like an apple
crazy.
Can be that big.
She said lemons in the UK are the size of limes. So limes are really small here, but lemons are huge. She's saying the lemons are small, like probably they should be. Yeah, what are they doing to the food here, man? Holy
It's
smokes.
like the size of my head. That's insane. What are we putting in these fruits? Okay, and the last one tonight is the experience of being in an American supermarket. Like, I shop at a big supermarket in the UK, like, you know, like a big Tesco's, like we have big supermarkets. But it's just something about the big supermarkets in the US that's like an out-of-body experience. And it's not necessarily the size of the supermarket, because, like I said, we have big supermarkets in the UK. It's more the variety of like one type of thing. It's insane, like capitalism popping off. Anyways, that's all for now. Hi, I want to talk to you.
That would be one of the funnest parts of traveling. Like I really look forward to, right? Going to a big Tesco, going to whatever, right? Going to Aldi or, you know, any of the famous, I guess, stores in different countries throughout Europe. I think that would be really fun because you don't think going to a supermarket would be that different in different countries, but I think it really is. I would definitely be like a wonderland to me. You know, I know you can say like, oh, well, the American supermarkets are interesting because they're so big and they sell so much different stuff, like she just said. But, you know, at the same time, for me, I'm used to that, right? I would like to see, you know, of course, different stuff and different brands and different products, even that I can't get in the U.S. that you can get in other countries, but more so, going back to what we talk about, I think it'd be fun to shop somewhere that has more real products, real produce that's not super messed with. You know, meats that aren't messed with. You know, food that has, I don't know, less sugar, less enriched flour, all these weird seed oils and all the crap that's in the U.S. foods. It would be kind of cool to have some more real selection, I guess you could say. It's one of those simple things that would just be a lot more interesting than it might initially appear. People have some interesting comments on this one as well. People not using WhatsApp. Yeah, no one uses that here in the U.S. I've only heard of it from literally comment sections about different countries. I hear that's like super common, obviously, in other countries. Does anyone want to explain like why, I guess? Like in your head, and you might not know the answer, and that's fine. Like, why is WhatsApp popular in European countries, and why is it not popular in the U.S.? I wonder. I feel like that's kind of like an odd thing. My mind was blown by 2 varieties of chocolate hummus. Who wants chocolate hummus? I love regular hummus. I love red pepper hummus. Chocolate hummus, I admit, I actually have seen. I don't see it super often, but you can find that in the U.S. And that sounds like such a American thing, doesn't it? Take something healthy like hummus, healthy and simple, and let's make it chocolate, right? Pump it full of sugar. That's a great idea. Aussie here. First time I encountered a U.S. toilet, I thought I was going to drown. This is the realest comment here, though. The worst part is the choice is false, too. If you see 29 brands to choose from, and referring to the U.S. stores, right? They're all probably owned by 3 companies. That is literally the truth. That is literally the truth. That's the crazy part about the U.S.
Culture shocks from coming back to America from Thailand. I'm just sitting here at this cafe also. I got a coffee. Look at the size of the coffee mug. That's very American. here outside of this cafe, and
It
this
is.
woman walks by because she's like waiting on her husband to pay the bill or something. So she walks outside, and she starts talking to me, starts a conversation about how she had a heat stroke 2 days ago, and she talks about her kids, how she does red light therapy, and like all of this is completely unprovoked. Like I don't know this woman. Like that's something that does not happen in other countries. Like people just don't start talking about their lives in like that much detail with other people.
I can see
But that's
that.
also a very Texan thing. If you're Thai and you want to go to some place where the people smile at you a lot, or like say hello when you're passing by them, that is Texas 100%. Also the fact that there's nobody outside. Like it's pleasant.
Yeah, she's right. Remember now, there is a lot more regional differences than you might think from the outside here in the U.S. So Texas, big state, right? That even varies within the state. But, you know, there's Texas is really, everything's big. People are friendly. You know, there's a lot going on. So I think that's definitely a thing. People might be a little more cold-shouldered, especially like up north. But it just depends, right? I would say like people generally are a little more quiet in Illinois, but like Wisconsin, actually north of here, people are a little more open and talkative. Now, when it comes to people sharing like a lot and you don't even know them at all, I can definitely see that being an American thing. I don't picture people in France or Croatia or Poland like sharing their whole life story the second you meet them. So I definitely think she's right. That's definitely an American thing. I don't think it's a negative. It's kind of fun, but you kind of have to be in the mood for it, right? You don't necessarily want to waste time every day hearing about stuff you didn't really ask to hear about. But I don't hate it at the same time. I think, you know, you can make some cool connections. You can learn some things through random casual conversations. So I don't think it's terrible. This is another point she just started making, that no one's outside.
It's outside to me right now.
This
I'm
is
not sweating. It's
kind of
outside.
interesting.
There's a little bit of shade. There's a little bit of cloud
too.
cover. Like it's not. It's a little overcast today, and there's nobody outside. There's nobody walking except for little old me and my big old coffee cup.
My wife and I have experienced that where it'll be a beautiful day, and we'll go out. We'll decide, hey, maybe we'll grab lunch or a snack somewhere, and there's outdoor seating, but there's no one outside. And there'll be like some people in the restaurant. Of course, there'll be people in the drive-thru. Big surprise. But there's no one outside, even on a beautiful day. It's very odd. I've noticed, I don't know if this changed from like the 90s when I was growing up. I feel like everyone was outside back then, and it just seems like no one's outside these days in the U.S. It's very odd. And of course, that's a very broad generalization. You know, have been times where a bunch of people are outside, but I don't know, on a regular day when there's not like an event going on, I feel like there's not a lot of people outside here. It's odd. It's I don't know what that's about. I'm going to cut it there. Those are some reverse culture shocks. There's probably a few more I had on here, but I think that covers most of it. Perhaps we can revisit this again. I really hope that your Friday and just your weekend actually is going to be awesome. I certainly cannot wait to see the comments on this. I mean, they're always great. And most of all, I just appreciate you being here. I appreciate you watching. So, yeah, thank you guys. With that being said, my name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. Catch you later.